When I look at history, and I do, I see a record of exceptional men creating problems, and other exceptional men trying and mostly failing to fix the problems created by those other exceptional men. If we can just find the right guy and put him in charge, the rest will take care of itself, seems to be the conventional wisdom. That may even work occasionally for a short period of time, but mostly it doesn't. We recently saw the departure of an exceptional man, Henry Kissinger. Many saw him as a hero of sorts. Others saw him as a villain. I'm definitely in the latter camp. His advice to Nixon and personal manipulation of how the U.S. conducted, expanded, and prolonged that unfortunate war in Vietnam, leading to tremendous loss of life on both sides, qualifies him as a war criminal, in my opinion. After he left government service, his firm, Kissinger and Associates, became the go-to enabler of dictators and bad actors in countries the world over, China in particular. In contrast, we also lost two remarkable women who stepped up and made the world a better place. Rosalind Carter and Sandra Day O'Connor both made their marks in spite of the severe restrictions placed on their gender and provided impeccable role models for a generation of young women to follow. They both proved when women are allowed to wield power, it almost always works out for the best. Another great example is Eleanor Roosevelt, who, along with another exceptional woman, Frances Perkins, was instrumental in creating and implementing Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal, which almost single-handedly created the American middle class. In her spare time, Eleanor helped create the United Nations. When men are allowed to accumulate too much money, you get the excesses of Bezos, Musk, and Zuckerberg. Give a woman command of millions of dollars and you get the philanthropy of Dolly Parton. How about we try a different approach? How about we try putting women in charge for a change? Women, wives and mothers in particular, have always been the linchpins of civilization. Many of them manage a complex organization, the family, on a budget they usually don't control. See to it that everyone is clothed, housed, and fed as best they can within the limits they're given, and join with others like themselves to create many, if not all, of society's best traditions and mores. In addition to all that, some of them also have to provide the entire income for the family unit. Outside the home, most institutions, schools, churches, and hospitals, for example, are presided over by men, but women do the bulk of the work. To be fair, there are hardly any businesses, industries, or institutions that don't feature at least a few successful women in the higher ranks these days, but there are still far fewer women in those positions than men. I'm convinced even an average woman would make a better leader than a so-called exceptional man, and I'm sure most men realize it too, at least on a subliminal level. Why else is the subjugation of women common to most civilizations and almost all religions, certainly the Abrahamic ones, everywhere on the planet? Witness what happens every time a fundamentalist religion takes over a country. Women are immediately banned from the classroom in all professions, and in short order that country becomes a failed state, completely unable to function. There are no exceptions. Make no mistake, it can happen here as well. In fact, it already has. The country was no more enlightened than Saudi Arabia in its founding, and it took over 200 years of struggle to overcome that to the degree we have. Now, reactionary radical forces in this country are hard at work trying to turn back the clock. The book burnings, sanitizing of history, destruction of public education, banning of reproductive care and birth control, and demonization of the feminine in general are all parts of a well-organized plan to return us to the bad old days. It's instructive to remember both Eve and Pandora were blamed for introducing chaos and evil into their respective worlds through the great sin, the unforgivable sin of seeking knowledge. That should tell you everything you need to know.